Okay, hello everyone again. Um, I'm going just today or in the second video of performance measurement, just to cover the differences between residual income and return on investments. So it's very, very important now, just for a question like this or for a topic like that. Uh, Again, I'm still in the performance measurement and the same module outlined the same topic. Still with the same learning outcomes, but I did really, I do prefer to have this comparison in a separate video. So we are working in social science, right? So business or accounting in social science. So there are many researchers who are keep doing research in the same area. So for return on investment, when it appeared, when it started with segment reporting and segment divisions, and companies started with decentralization, they realized that these segments should have authority, and this authority they have to link the manager's compensation to the performance, etc., etc. So the first performance measurement was return on investment. So let's talk about return on investment. By the way, advantage and disadvantage of both return of both return on investment and residual income. All of this is from my own reading and from my own experience of teaching this topic. So you might find in your core book some of these advantages, but these are the outcome of all my kind of experience, etc., etc., about return on investment versus residual income. So because we are in working on social science, if you are in a final exam and you really don't know and you have a question to see what are the advantage of whatever, just think about it in three different times, in three different ways. Is it this thing you are not memorizing any advantages? Remember, you are not memorizing. I don't like you to memorize anything. You are not memorizing, but you are familiar with what return on investment is. You are familiar with what is the how to calculate return on investment. You are familiar with the component of the equation. But you didn't have the chance to memorize the information. So you have to think about it that way. Is it easy to understand? Is it easy to be applicable? Is it a commonly used? Is it a generally accepted? And then this should be the advantages. So let's talk about return on investment here. Return on investment is very easy to understand. It's just one equation or one main equation or the and the other sub equations, but it's very easy to applicable because the component of these equations are very easy to find in the financial statements or in the annual reports. It's very common measure, as I said. Any piece of research, even from medicine, if they wanted to measure, for example, the performance of whatever hospital, they always use return on investment. So it's very commonly used in any paper, although it has many disadvantages, but it's very commonly used. Is generally accepted. Everybody use it. And also the advantages, it can be analyzed into main component. So if you go back to the previous video, or if you go back to the PowerPoint, and you can see all these blue graph that I designed, or I just got from one of the books that I recommended previously on the component of return on investment, you can see it's very, very, as I explained, it's very easy to track, margin and turnover and into all the component until you go for cash and inventory and stock, etc., etc. It's ideal to use for comparison across the company. They might, company might compare between segments or divisions or departments, encourage cost effective, encourage managers to make full use of resources. These are the advantages. Help managers to focus on the link between sales, expensive investment, because of course the component of ROI. However, disadvantages give an indication, give no indication of the size of the investment. They didn't give indication of the size, because, for example, the mini quiz we discussed in the previous video is just to say that this investment is just to might achieve 20% ROI or 30% ROI, but there is no any information, extra information on the size of this investment. Another disadvantage is based on percentage. So once you have any of these stuff, you don't need to memorize information. You just look at the equation of ROI, and you can talk about it. You can talk about advantages and disadvantages based on different accounting policies, because of course there is a cash, there is current assets, there is fixed assets, there is a inventory, there is operating expenses, there is a cost of goods sold. So hundreds of accounting policies and accounting rules, and some of the financial accounting and some of the management accounting. So the component is huge, can lead to dysfunctional decisions, and which is 100% agree. And because of all these disadvantages, the residual income, I will talk about residual income, and then I will compare between both of them. It's the residual income is the main advantage. It's better overall performance comparing with the return on investment. It does not include a percentage. It's absolute figure. It's give indication of the size of investment. Give you this is the size of the investment. This is the return. This is the minimum required of return. Can be used when managers have no control over investment. If the managers have no control over investment, they can use residual income. But the disadvantages are, it can be very difficult to calculate the minimum required rate of return. It's so difficult for the top management to calculate that. It's not easy to understand the comparing with the ROI, because what are the component of that? It's not clearly, not commonly used in the teacher. If you read any paper in any discipline, you hardly find something. Just the researcher using residual income as a kind of a performance measurement, comparing with return on investment. Not easy to be applicable. The main point is the next slide. The next slide is very, very, very important, to be very honest. So we know that we have return on investment and residual income as substitute as alternative, but this is not the truth. The truth is that the researcher just thought about return on investment, started to implement it, and then from the disadvantages of return on investment, they started to build up on the residual income. Can you understand what I mean? So without even memorizing the advantage and disadvantage of both of them, you know off by heart that return on investment is very easy to use, is applicable, is this and this and this, and you have the disadvantages. So from the disadvantage, you can build on the advantage of return on investment straight away. So it's based one of the main criticism of return on investment is based on percentage, and the main advantages of residual income is not because it's an absolute figure. So please, when you read, just try to analyze what you are reading. So for example, if I bring a question like this in the final exam, I wanted to see that students are they are wake up while they are reading, they analyzing what's going on. So for it doesn't matter about return on investment or residual income, anything when we are talking about, for example, functional based costing versus activity based costing, that the first one has advantage and disadvantage, and because of the disadvantages, we moved to a new one. So the disadvantage of the previous one, researchers should work on that to initiate, to develop a new measure. And this should be a rule in your life if you have anything, because sometimes you said, okay, I will try this one, but this one I'm not going to buy, for example, whatever. Yes, let me think about an example here. I can't. My mind is so occupied. So anyway, if I forget, if I remember an example, I might just mention it in the lecture questions and answer. But the main point for you in this particular video, the main point for me to illustrate it for you is when you have what advantage and what disadvantage. Don't memorize stuff. Just understand it, and from your understanding of the topic, from your understanding of the of whatever the expression, you can highlight what are the advantages and what are the disadvantage. I think that's me. And then I will